Healing others is the first step toward healing yourself. Stay with us till the end. The rain poured mercilessly over the quiet streets as Lucas hurried home, clutching his son Ethan's small hand. It had been another long day, 2 shifts, a half-eaten dinner, and an aching heart that never quite healed since his wife's passing. They walked through the dim alley behind their old apartment, where the hum of distant cars faded into the sound of water hitting metal roofs. Then, suddenly a faint whimper. Ethan tugged at his father's sleeve, his eyes searching the darkness. "Dad, did you hear that?" Lucas paused, listening. Another cry, weak, desperate, echoing from behind a pile of old crates. Without hesitation, he followed the sound and found a small dog, soaked, trembling, and trapped under a broken wooden board. Its fur was matted with blood, its eyes wide with pain and fear. Lucas's heart clenched. For a moment, he hesitated. He barely had enough for rent, let alone a vet bill. But as Ethan knelt beside the dog, whispering softly, "He's scared, Dad, please help him," Lucas knew there was no choice to make. He crouched down, lifted the heavy board with trembling arms, and gently freed the injured animal. The dog whimpered as Lucas wrapped it in his worn jacket, feeling its weak heartbeat against his chest. The rain soaked him to the bone, but he didn't care. Something about this fragile life reignited a warmth he hadn't felt in years. When they reached home, Lucas placed the dog on an old blanket near their small heater. Ethan brought a bowl of water, and together, father and son cleaned the wounds as best they could. The dog's tail moved just slightly, a sign of trust or maybe gratitude. Ethan smiled for the first time in days. "We should call him Hope," he said softly. Lucas looked at the tired little creature and nodded, feeling a quiet truth settle in his heart. Sometimes, the ones you save end up saving you too. Morning sunlight crept through the thin curtains as Lucas awoke to the soft sound of paws shuffling on the wooden floor. Hope, still weak but determined, tried to stand, wobbling slightly before settling beside Ethan, who slept peacefully with one hand resting on the dog's back. For the first time in months, the air inside their small home felt different, lighter, warmer. Lucas smiled faintly. He hadn't seen Ethan sleep so peacefully since his mother's passing. The next few days turned into a quiet routine of healing. Lucas cleaned Hope's wounds every evening after work, using whatever supplies he could afford from the local pharmacy. He'd boil leftover rice and mix it with scraps of chicken, while Ethan gently spoon-fed their furry guest. Hope, in return, began wagging his tail whenever they entered the room, as if to say, "I'm still here. I'm fighting too." That simple gesture gave Lucas the strength to keep pushing forward through the exhaustion that never seemed to leave. One evening, when Lucas came home from his construction job, Ethan ran to him, grinning ear to ear. "Dad! Hope followed me to the park today. He's getting better." Lucas looked at the small dog panting proudly at his son's feet, tail wagging wildly. It felt like the tiny creature had brought back a piece of joy that had long vanished from their lives. Over time, Hope became more than just a pet. He became family. He walked Ethan to school, greeted Lucas every night at the door, and slept at the foot of their bed, as if guarding their fragile happiness. Their laughter began to echo through the once lonely house. For the first time in years, Lucas felt peace, a sense that maybe life was giving him another chance. He didn't know it yet, but this second chance would soon come full circle in ways he could never imagine. It was a calm Saturday morning when the knock came. Lucas was fixing the kitchen faucet while Ethan and Hope played in the living room. The gentle rapping on the door seemed ordinary, but something about it made Lucas pause. When he opened it, a well-dressed woman stood there, holding a flyer, her eyes red from sleepless nights. "Excuse me," she said softly, her voice trembling. "I'm looking for my missing dog. Her name is Daisy. She went missing 3 weeks ago after a car accident." Lucas froze. The photo in her hand was unmistakable, the same golden brown fur, the same soft eyes. His heart sank. Hope or Daisy limped over and stared at the woman as if recognizing her scent. Tears instantly filled the woman's eyes as she knelt and hugged the dog tightly, whispering, "Oh my baby, I thought I lost you forever." Ethan stood silently beside Lucas, clutching his father's hand, confusion written on his small face. The woman explained that Daisy was a trained therapy dog, used to help children with trauma. She had been missing since a major accident left the woman hospitalized. When she finally recovered, she searched tirelessly but lost hope until a neighbor mentioned a man who'd rescued an injured dog nearby. Lucas listened quietly, his heart torn between doing what was right and what his heart wanted. Ethan's voice broke the silence. "Dad," he said softly, looking up with watery eyes, "she loves her dog, just like we love Hope. Maybe it's time to help her like we helped him." Lucas felt a lump form in his throat. The boy had learned something far deeper than he ever could have taught. With a heavy sigh, Lucas nodded. He looked at the woman and smiled faintly. "He's been our hope," he said, "but I think it's time he gives you yours back." As Daisy wagged her tail and licked Ethan's cheek one last time, Lucas realized kindness, even when it hurts, is never wasted. Days passed after Daisy left, and the little apartment felt quieter than ever. Ethan still set out a small bowl of water by the heater, out of habit. Sometimes, he'd glance at the empty blanket on the floor and sigh. Lucas tried to stay strong for his son, reminding him that doing the right thing often hurts at first but always brings something good in return. Yet deep inside, even he missed the sound of Hope's paws patting around the house, the quiet comfort that had made their world feel whole again. One rainy afternoon, a knock echoed at the door again. When Lucas opened it, he found the same woman standing there, this time, smiling. But she wasn't alone. Daisy sat beside her, tail wagging with pure joy. "She wouldn't stop whining until I brought her here," the woman said, her eyes glistening. "I think she misses you both as much as you miss her." Lucas knelt down as Daisy ran into Ethan's arms, knocking him over with happy barks. Laughter filled the house once again, and for a moment, all the heaviness lifted. Then the woman handed Lucas an envelope. "I run a rehabilitation center for rescue animals," she explained. "We need someone kind, patient, and trustworthy. When I saw how you cared for Daisy, I knew you were that person. Would you consider joining us?" Lucas stared at the offer inside a full-time job with stable pay. He looked at Ethan, whose eyes shone with pride, and nodded slowly. "I'd be honored." From that day forward, Lucas and Ethan worked side by side at the rescue center, helping injured animals find hope again just like they once had. Daisy became their official greeter, wagging her tail at every new arrival. And as Lucas watched his son play with a puppy one afternoon, he smiled and whispered, "See, son, what you give with love always finds its way back." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more motivational videos.